Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and welcome back to Black American Lineage. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And today, we're going to talk about the first woman millionaire in the United States. So often, when people talk about Madam C.J. Walker, they'll say she was the first black woman millionaire in the United States. But really, she was the first woman millionaire in the United States. Definitely the first self made woman millionaire in the United States. But she has a very interesting life, and I certainly do not want this Black History Month to pass without talking about Madame C.J. Walker, since I've been talking about Black Americans who became millionaires during Reconstruction and the Jim Crow era. The legacy of Madam C.J. Walker is inspiring when you think of a woman who came out of slavery and through her own genius and through the inspiration of God, became a millionaire by creating something that the women of her race needed. It is very inspiring, and she was a philanthropist. She didn't just throw her money away, she used her money wisely. So let's talk about Madam C.J. Walker. Madam C.J. Walker was born Sarah Breedlove on December 23rd, 1867, close to Delta, Louisiana. Her parents were Owen and Minerva Breedlove, and she was one of five siblings. She was the first child in her family born into freedom after Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Her mother died in 1872, likely from cholera, an epidemic that traveled up the Mississippi River into Tennessee. Remember, in those days, they didn't have antibiotics as we have today. So, likely, if you were stricken with some type of contagious disease, if your immune system didn't put up a real fight, you most likely died from that disease. With both of her parents dead by the age of 7, she was orphaned. At 10, she moved to Vicksburg, Mississippi with one of her older sisters. She said, I had little or no opportunity when I started out in life, having been left an orphan and being without mother or father since I was 7 years of age. She also stated that she had only 3 months of formal education, which she undertook during Sunday school literacy lessons at the church she attended during her early years. And that makes it even more extraordinary when you consider she says she only had 3 months of formal education. So she had an inborn intelligence that didn't have anything to do with her learning something from a book. In 1882, at the age of 14, she married Moses McWilliams, whose age was unknown, which means she probably married an old man, to escape abuse from her brother in law. Sarah and McWilliams had one daughter, Leela, who was born on June 6, 1885. When McWilliams died in 1887, Sarah was 20, Leela was 2. Sarah remarried in 1894 but left her second husband, John Davis, around 1903. In January 1906, she married Charles Joseph Walker, a newspaper advertising salesman she had known in St. Louis, Missouri. After this marriage, she began marketing herself as Madame C.J. Walker. The couple divorced in 1912. Charles died in 1926. So, with her mother marketing herself as Madame C.J. Walker, her daughter Leah adopted her stepfather's name and began calling herself Leah Walker. I guess she wanted to have the same last name as her mother. In 1888, Sarah moved with Leah to St. Louis, where three of her brothers lived. She found work washing and ironing, earning barely more than $1 a day. She was determined to make enough money to provide Leah with formal education. During the 1880s, she lived in a community where ragtime music was developed. She sang at St. Paul African Methodist Episcopal Church and started to yearn for an educated life as she watched the community of women at her church. So, this is how she came about producing a product that helped black women. She suffered severe dandruff and other scalp ailments, including baldness due to skin disorders and the application of harsh products to cleanse hair and wash clothes. Other contributing factors to her hair loss included poor diet, illness, and infrequent bathing and hair washing during a time when most Americans lacked indoor plumbing, central heating, and electricity. Wow. So it sounds like she was washing her hair with the same products that she was washing clothes with. And that wasn't Tide and Gain. Those products were much harsher than what we're using today to wash clothes. And we don't wash our hair with the same products that we wash clothes with. So I'm sure that contributed to some of her hair loss. Initially, Sarah learned about hair care from her brothers who were barbers in St. Louis. The World's Fair came to St. Louis in 1904. By now, Sarah had a side job as an agent selling products for Annie Turnbull Malone, who is also famous herself for being a hair care entrepreneur. So Sarah was selling hair care products at the World's Fair in St. Louis in 1904. However, the sales were a disappointment because she was trying to sell to black women, and you know that black women were not a priority in 1904. But she had formed a business relationship with Annie Turnbull Malone, who was already successful in the hair care business. While working for Malone, who would later become a significant rival in the hair care business, Sarah began to take her new knowledge and develop her own product line. In July 1905, when she was 37 years old, she moved with Leah to Denver, Colorado, where she initially continued to sell products for Annie Turnbull Malone while developing her own hair care business. However, the two business women had a falling out when Malone accused Sarah of stealing her formula, a mixture of petroleum jelly and sulfur that had been in use for 100 years. And this is a well known rift between these two women. And it is a question: did she steal Annie Turnbull Malone's formula? Or was this something that was already in use by others that she decided to take advantage of? It's an interesting question. After marrying Charles Walker in 1906, Sarah began marketing herself as Madame C.J. Walker, an independent hairdresser and cosmetics cream retailer. Madame was adopted from women pioneers of the French beauty industry. Okay. Charles, also her business partner, provided advice on advertising and promotion. Walker sold her products door to door, teaching other black women how to groom and style their hair. So she went door to door doing her thing. No wonder she was successful. In 1906, Sarah put Aaliyah in charge of the mail order operation in Denver while she and Charles traveled throughout the southern and eastern United States to expand the business. In 1908, Sarah and her husband relocated to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where they opened a beauty parlor and established Leila College to train hair culturists. As an advocate of black women's economic independence, Walker opened training programs in the Walker system for her national network of licensed sales agents who earned healthy commissions. So she paid her agents well. Good for her. After closing the business in Denver in 1907, Aaliyah joined Sarah in Pittsburgh in 1910. When Sarah established a new base in Indianapolis, Aaliyah ran the day-to-day operations in Pittsburgh. Aaliyah also persuaded her mother to establish an office and beauty salon in New York City's growing Harlem neighborhood in 1913. it became a center of African American culture. So Madam CJ was in the thick of the Harlem Renaissance. Yeah. Walker designed a method of grooming to promote hair growth and to condition the scalp through the use of her products. The system included a shampoo, a pomade stated to help hair grow, strenuous brushing, and applying iron combs to hair. Walker purported that method made lackluster and brittle hair soft and luxurious. Walker's product line had several competitors. Walker's competitors produced similar products in Europe and the United States, including Malone's Poro system and Sarah Spencer Washington's Apex system. Madam C.J. Walker's business was successful wherever she went. She ultimately ended up in New York City, where she was a part of the Harlem Renaissance, and her salon was like the go to place in New York City. By 1917, the company claimed to have trained nearly 20,000 women. In addition to training her sales agents how to groom and sell her products, she also taught them how to budget and build businesses and encouraged them to become financially independent, which was very good advice. In 1917, she commissioned Vertner Tandy, the first licensed black architect in New York City and a founding member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, to design her house in Irvington on Hudson, New York. She intended for Villa Loraro to become a gathering place for community leaders and to inspire other African Americans to pursue their dreams. The house cost at the time $250,000 to build, which would be over $6 million in today's market. She moved into the house in May 1918 and hosted an opening event to honor Emmett J. Scott, at that time the Assistant Secretary for Negro Affairs of the United States Department of War. Oh my goodness. She became more involved in political matters after her move to New York. She delivered lectures on political, economic, and social issues at conventions sponsored by powerful black institutions. Her friends and associates included Booker T. Washington, Mary McLeod Bethune, and W.E.B. Du Bois. During World War I, she was a leader in the Circle for Negro War Relief and advocated for the establishment of a training camp for black Army officers. In 1917, she joined the executive committee of the New York chapter of the NAACP, which organized the silent protest parade on New York City's Fifth Avenue. So she was very involved in civic affairs as well as business affairs. So this silent protest was protesting World War I. Madam CJ was generous in her philanthropic efforts. She made large contributions to the National Association of Colored Women's Club, and also to preserve Frederick Douglass's home in Washington, D.C., and also to the NAACP. In 1919, she pledged $5,000, which is equivalent to $88,000 in today's time, to the NAACP's Anti-Lynching Fund. It was the largest gift that had been given to the NAACP at that time. She also gifted $100,000, which would be worth millions today, to orphanages, institutions, and individuals. So she was not stingy with her money. Sadly, Madam C.J. Walker did not live a very long life. Madam C.J. Walker died May 25, 1919, from kidney failure and complications of hypertension at the age of 51. Her remains are interred in Woodlawn Cemetery in the Bronx, New York City. Her daughter, Aaliyah Walker, became president of Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing Company. The Indiana Historical Society preserves her papers in Indianapolis. Her legacy also continues through two properties listed on the National Register of Historic Places: her house in Irvington on Hudson, New York, and the Madam Walker Theater Center in Indianapolis. A museum devoted to Madam C.J. Walker, as well as a historic radio station, WERD, Word, established itself on the site of a former Madam C.J. Walker beauty shop in Atlanta. Her legacy is also preserved in plays, TV series, and documentaries. There are also dolls made in her likeness. In addition to many other tributes, Madam C.J. Walker is inducted in the National Women's Hall of Fame in Seneca Falls, New York. In 1998, the United States Postal Service issued a Madam Walker commemorative stamp as part of its Black Heritage series, and Mattel issued a Madam C.J. Walker Barbie doll as part of their Inspiring Women doll collection. It is difficult to capture the fullness of Madam C.J. Walker's life. This is just a small snapshot of who she was. She is an icon and she is an ancestor for us to be proud of forever. So may she continue to rest in peace. Thank you for listening and have a good day.